All right, YouTube, looking for a little help from my GM guys and gals. Had some issues with this '89 Fleetwood and getting a little frustrated, and I thought I'd throw a video up, show y'all what it's doing and see what everybody thinks. So, long story short, this car started to act up right when the pandemic hit in 2020. And it was acting as if when you would start it up cold, it would fire up immediately, everything's fine, no warning lights, no service engine soon, nothing like that. But it would almost act as if someone was rapidly turning the ignition on and off. It was losing spark really fast, but it never actually would stall out. So, we pretty much quit driving it. The pandemic hit, etc. Every once in a while I'd start it up. It never changed, never got worse or better. It was always there. And you'd go take it for a drive, and all of a sudden, under load, it would start bucking and snorting. And again, it always acts like it's losing ignition, losing spark just for a split second, but never enough to stall. So I guess I'll sit in the car. This is going to be a different video for me because I got a lot of talking to do. Sorry about that if you all get bored. But anyway, so let me think. Most recently I decided, I wanted to get the car looked at. And I don't know about other parts of the country, but everything has changed dramatically here in Montana post-COVID. Just cannot find mechanics willing to work on older stuff. Can't, just like last summer when my other Cadillac got rear-ended, I almost let it go to the salvage yard because it was just almost impossible to find anyone that would take the job. So things are way different. I feel like suddenly all these 1984 to 1995 pre-OBD2 cars that are fuel injected, nobody wants to touch. I've definitely encountered that with my other Cadillac, and this one was no exception. So I finally decided I wanted to get it worked on in March. Well, actually, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. I decided last fall I wanted to get it worked on. So I brought it to a guy that I knew that was really good with GMs. And he had it for 3 months. He lives pretty close to my place. And I could tell that it was just sitting there. And after about, I'd check in monthly. And after about 3 months, he said he'd driven it a couple times but couldn't get it to act up. And I thought, well, that's weird, because literally every time I start the car, it's doing that. So I picked it up around Christmas time from his place, and even just the mile back to my house. Just on, off, on, off, on, off. Again, never actually stalls. So I thought, well, he must have not wanted to work on it. Anyway, I started it up in March, and it was doing a new thing. And it threw a check service engine soon light. It was still doing the ignition thing where it's acts like it's losing spark, but it was also suddenly idling really high, and then really low, and then really high. And it threw a code. And I pulled the code, which is super easy to do on these cars. And the code it threw occasionally in March was an E30, which is idle speed control sensor thing. So finally found a shop that would take it. They weren't super excited to take it, but got an appointment, told them what was going on, and brought it into them. And they decided to replace the idle speed control circuit sensor thing based on the code that I had pulled, the E30. And then, he called me and said, it's not running good. It's doing the ignition thing that it was always doing. And I said, well, the best I can find online is some Cadillac forums on Facebook and stuff. I posted the problem, and people seem to think that if you replace the ISC and the distributor, it would fix it. So the shop it was at is through Napa, and Napa, I guess, didn't have a distributor for this car. So I found one at O'Reilly's and brought it to them last week. And they threw the distributor in and called me and said the car runs way better, but now the service engine soon light's on all the time, and basically come get the car. So picked the car up, and now it's running totally different. The distributor definitely fixed that ignition issue where it was losing spark and turning on and off. But now it's hard to start cold. It feels like it doesn't idle up high enough. You almost have to treat it like a carbureted car and give it gas to start it. seems to run fine after you get it going, but it immediately throws, even when you clear the codes, immediately code E23, which is distributor. So I'm just wondering what anybody thinks, because I'm quite certain the shop that just put the distributor in, you know, I brought them the part, and they didn't even want to pull the codes. And I'm just wondering what anybody thinks as far as, I'll start it up and show you what it's doing. See, it's just barely idling. If you give it any gas at all, it stalls. And if you give it gas, usually see, it acts like it's loading up. Should run. And the only thing I noticed that they did at the shop, and I don't know, I doubt it has any relation, but I noticed for sure that they left the cruise control disconnected, because it used to work flawlessly, and I can see in here that it's just laying there now. And of course, that's the ISC they replaced. That's the distributor. If you like, so anyway, I'm pretty frustrated. I'm going to show you the receipt, show you what they did. I had them fix the power window, and of course ISC and distributor diagnosing it and stuff. And I'm not going to throw them under the bridge, so I'm not showing you the name of the shop, but I'm into it almost $1,500 with parts now. And I'm just not sure what the next step is. The new code comes back immediately. Let's see if I can remember how to. Oh, that's interesting. E30's back. Huh. When I got it home from the shop the other day, it was just, there was no E30, there was just the new code E23, and like I said, the minute you clear the codes and fire the car back up, that code comes back. So anyway, like I said, new distributor, new ISC, and they definitely, the distributor definitely fixed that ignition loss of spark issue it had. But again, now it, I mean, geez, it's like 60 degrees outside, and it starts like, you know, my old carbureted Jeeps. I can't imagine it would even be drivable in the winter when it was like 30 below. But anyway, if anybody has any thoughts on what to check next, I mean, I'll definitely bring it back to the shop, since I paid to have them at least connect the cruise and whatnot, and talk about the new code and the distributor and how it runs different, just to see what they think. But they're definitely not interested in even pulling the codes or digging into it, and that's kind of the issue I'm finding everywhere. They just don't. I mean, it seems it doesn't matter what kind of car you have. I mean, you have a new car, new under warranty cars, you can't get parts, it takes forever to get them in. You got stuff like this, nobody wants to touch it. So, if anybody has any advice for me, I would love to hear it. Thanks for watching.